If you're new to our channel, we'd love to have you join our little community. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We promise it will be worth your while.
Class that day was devoted first to more sitting, standing, and walking as a girl. I seemed to be getting better at it once I relaxed and remembered all that Mom and Barb had taught me. We gave our little speeches on our periods and had to stand there and submit to questions by the teacher and other girls. I was glad to finally be allowed to sit down again, certain that talking to a real girl had to be easier than this. Later that day, I was once again called out of the class and taken back to the beauty shop. I couldn't figure out why, since they had just given me a perm the day before. Once in the shop, I was asked to sit down in a chair away from the styling area. I was then told that Mom had requested that I have my ears pierced for earrings. Lucky me to have such a thoughtful mother. Before I got them pierced, I had to listen to another lecture and demonstration on taking care of pierced ears and earrings. Finally, the lady held an instrument to one ear, then the other, a slight pop, an instant of pain, and I had 2 gold ball earrings stuck to my ears. I knew a couple of guys in school who wore earrings and had considered asking Mom to let me get one too, but I never intended to wear 2 of them. Of course, back in class, Kelly made her usual fuss over my new earrings, telling me how lucky I was to be able to have pierced ears. Since she wasn't going to be a girl all of the time, her mom wouldn't let her get her ears pierced. I told her that I'd happily trade, but she insisted that I'd hate to have to wear clip-ons. Pierced earrings were so much better. The only thing that made having my ears pierced bearable was when I was told that if I didn't keep wearing them, the holes would eventually close up. Maybe I could just forget them for a little while at home, and then I wouldn't have to worry about pierced ears when I went back to being a boy again. Every day that went by, we learned a little bit more of the finer points of being girls. Sitting, standing, walking, and talking skills were all thoroughly reinforced until we did them without thinking. We were referred to as young ladies, or girls when in a group, Ms. if alone. Our boys' names were never used, nor was there any mention that we were boys trying to act like girls. We were treated as if we were young girls taking a charm school class to help develop and hone our femininity. We were taught basic makeup skills in the first few days, and from then on, my group was expected to wear simple makeup, lipstick and blush, with just a touch of eyeshadow. To class every day. I had to get up a half hour earlier from then on to make sure that my hair was set with the electric curlers Mom gave me and to fix my makeup. The teachers did such a good job of treating us as girls that by the end of the first week, we responded automatically to our names, and they had to correct our manners much less than before. Our training program was very intense. Even outside of class, we were immediately corrected if any unladylike behavior was observed. We attended class in dresses with complete lingerie under them, and during our free time, we wore girls' casual clothes with our catching panties if needed. Anything we did as girls, or we just didn't do it. I used to like playing tennis and was fairly good at it, but found it very distracting to play in a short dress and ruffled panties. There was no place to play or equipment to use for baseball, basketball, or football, so instead we learned how to jump rope and play hopscotch. The older girls spent most of their free time at the pool, but my friends and I actually found girls' games to be fun. The competition wasn't nearly as fierce as it was in boys' games, so we were able to relax and enjoy ourselves more. My last week at girl camp was now over, and I said a tearful goodbye to my new best friend Kelly. We promised to write faithfully as our moms walked us to their cars with tears still rolling down our cheeks. As we drove home, I finalized a plan to get me out of my dresses. Since Mom had decided this was a punishment for me, I would use the reverse psychology trick of pretending to enjoy being a girl. Once she saw that her punishment wasn't working, she'd give up and put things back the way they were. When Mom asked me if I enjoyed the camp, I told her that it was the most fun I'd ever had and kept thanking her for sending me. She looked a little confused and said she thought perhaps I might not have liked it, so I thanked her again. She upped the stakes by telling me how pretty I looked in my denim skirt and asked me if I liked getting my ears pierced. I thanked her for the compliment on my skirt and said that I was thrilled to have pierced ears and was looking forward to buying myself some pretty earrings. When we got home, Barb made a big deal over how much I'd changed in the last 3 weeks, saying that I seemed more like a girl than ever before. That didn't seem too awfully hard considering that I'd never been a girl, and still wasn't, but I gave her a sweet smile and told her that she'd better be careful about bringing guys around or I'd steal them from her. I could tell that got to her 'cause of the look she gave Mom. Mom laughed and told Barb that I was just teasing her again. Barb looked at me in a funny way and said that considering how nice I looked, she'd make sure she was careful. I smiled, tossed my hair, and took my stuff to my room, leaving a confused mother and sister behind me. It certainly looked as though my plan was working. I'd be getting a haircut and boys' clothes any day now. I put away all of the clothes I had worn to camp, then went back to Barb and Mom to continue my plan. They were sitting in the room watching a movie when I walked in with a little swing to my butt, smoothed my skirt, sat down and crossed my legs, the way I had been taught in camp. The look on Barb's face was a riot. She looked totally confused. "Are you sure that's my little brother's mom?" "He's become quite a young lady, Barb," said Mom. "You might want to take some lessons from him." "Just what every girl dreams of," Barb sighed. "Having her little brother give her lessons on being a lady. I'd be happy to help, Barb," I said sweetly. After all, it would be the least I could do to show my appreciation. Appreciation for what? For making me into a girl, of course, dummy. Wait just a minute. You mean you don't mind what we did to you? You can't possibly tell me that you like wearing dresses and girls' underwear. To tell you the truth, Barb, I really hated it at first. But now that I've gotten used to it, I kind of like wearing girls' stuff. The clothes are so soft and my new underwear feels so nice, I sort of wish I had been born a girl instead of a boy. I wanted to keep driving Barb nuts, but Mom interrupted to say that we were going shopping and to a movie and wanted to help me pick out something pretty to wear. I told her it sounded like fun, but I wanted to pick out my own outfit. I knew by the look on her face that she wasn't sure what was going on, and I wanted to keep it that way. I hurried up to my room and began going through my closet to find something that would be just perfect. It had to be something really pretty to convince them that I was serious about being a girl, and after a few minutes I found exactly what I wanted. I picked out a white gauze skirt that came halfway between my knees and ankles and a pink gauze top. It was the perfect outfit, nice and cool for a hot summer day, and feminine enough to drive Mom and Barb nuts. After a couple of minutes searching, I found everything else I'd need to complete the outfit. A long white half-slip and camisole, tan stockings, and a pair of pink sandals. After I finished dressing, I brushed my hair back into a ponytail, tied it back with a white lace scarf Barb had thoughtfully provided, then added a little pink blush and lip gloss. Barb's eyes nearly popped out of her head when she saw me. I did a quick twirl and asked how I looked. Barb told me she thought I was gorgeous, and Mom stood there beaming with pride at her new daughter. She may like it now, I thought to myself, but I'd change Mom's quickly enough. Pretty soon she'd be begging me to go back to being Kevin. I'd have the last laugh then. Our first stop at the mall was a nationally known women's clothing store that catered to the well-to-do. I knew that Mom and Barb were waiting to see what I'd do, so I made certain that they weren't disappointed. I started looking through the racks of clothes just like the other girls in the store, pulling out different outfits and holding them against me as I looked in a mirror. I picked several different outfits to try on and asked Barb where the dressing room was. She pointed to a corner of the store, but before letting me go, she said that she had an outfit she wanted to have me try on. I gulped hard when I saw what she was holding. It was a rose-colored, satiny fabric gown with short, puffy sleeves. "You might be able to pull your little act over on Mom," she whispered. "But I'm not buying it. I'm betting you're still too much of a boy to wear this." She had me trapped, and she knew it. If I refused to try on the gown, she'd tell Mom that I was lying and I'd never get out of skirts. I grabbed the gown from her hands and started for the dressing rooms. I took off my skirt and top and reached for the gown Barb had chosen. I hurriedly unzipped it, stepped into it, and pulled it up to my shoulders. I zipped it as far as I could, then turned to see myself in the dressing room mirror. The dress seemed to fit me pretty well, but of course my ear sister would have made sure of that. The only adjustment I had to make was to roll up the waistband of my slip to keep it from showing beneath the gown. Barb was outside calling for me to come out, so I took a deep breath and stepped out of the dressing room. "Would you mind zipping me up, Barb?" I couldn't get the zipper any higher. Barb smiled and said she'd be more than happy to help as she zipped the gown all the way up and fastened the small hook at the top. "Mom, come see how pretty Missy looks in this dress," she called out to her mother. Mom came over and immediately began making a big fuss over how pretty I looked as I modeled the gown. Barb insisted that I turn every which way to show it off properly, and I happily obliged. "Isn't it a beautiful, Mom?" I gushed. "I love it." Barb just stood behind Mom, giving me dirty looks. She was sure I was putting on an act, and she seemed determined to prove it. "Since she likes it so much, why don't we buy it for her mom?" Barb suggested. "A girl can never have too many pretty outfits, right?" "You're right, Barb," Mom said. "How about we get this blue one for you, and then you two can really look like sisters?" "I don't think we should, Mom," I said. "They're very expensive and we'll never really use them." Barb saw her chance and jumped on it. "I'd love to have the blue one, Mom. It's gorgeous." "It's too expensive, Barb," I said, teeth clenched. Barb smiled at me. "Since we're the same size, we'd be able to switch dresses, Missy. You could wear the red one to one party and I could wear the blue one. Next time, we'd switch dresses? Wouldn't that be fun?" "Tons," I replied. I could see that Mom was thrilled with the idea of her daughters in look-alike dresses. I went back into the dressing room, took off what was to be my new dress, and finished trying on several other outfits. Somehow the idea of showing Mom how much I enjoyed wearing pretty clothes didn't seem so hot. I had to keep Barb from interfering if I was ever going to get Mom to change her mind. Each time I thought I would shake Mom up, Barb turned the tables on me and made Mom more and more certain that she should keep me as a girl. Barb really screwed up my plans, and I ended up with 3 more dresses. 2 short sets, 3 pairs of culottes, and 2 rompers. She was just so helpful in picking outfits for me to try on, always coming up with something very girlish and frilly. She had me try on a silky mini dress with matching panties that Mom thought I looked so cute in, and a pair of white shorts with a pink ruffled tube top and a gauze shirt that was meant to be left open enough to show off my top. Barb was also nice enough to point out that I would need several more strapless bras to go with my outfits, and Mom was only too happy to buy more for me. I made a mental note to thank my dear sister as soon as I could. Mom let me pick out several pairs of girls' jeans to wear, saying that I would no longer have to wear dresses all of the time. I was happy to hear that, but when Mom left, Barb gleefully informed me that just in case I had any other ideas, she had no plans on giving up her new sister. With a wicked smile on her face, she told me that even though I could now wear jeans, I'd still look like a cute girl. She felt that it was the least she could do to help her little sister become a young woman. Over the next couple of weeks, my sister remained faithful to her promise of making a girl out of me. I wore jeans as often as I could, but I had to wear a girdle under them that shaped my butt and held my genitals in making me look like other girls. My jeans were a small but important means of my remaining a boy. And like I said, I wore them whenever I could, but Barb kept after me and soon convinced me to give up my jeans because of the summer heat. I compromised and began wearing shorts and tops, but Barb often suggested we go places where shorts weren't appropriate, and before long, I was also wearing sundresses and cotton skirts with bare legs. Barb wasn't satisfied with my wearing sundresses and summer skirts and began to pressure me to go to the local pool with her. I refused time and time again, but she was persistent and soon enlisted Mom's help. I would have loved to go to the pool since it was close to 90 degrees every day, but Mom and my sister wouldn't let me go as a boy, and I wouldn't go as a girl. Finally, after the third straight day above 95, I gave in. I just couldn't stand it anymore. Even in my shorts and gauze tops, I was a ball of sweat. I knew I'd regret it, but I went to my room, put on my special panties, and slipped on the bathing suit I had worn at camp. I looked just like any other 12-year-old girl as I walked to the pool with Mom and Barb, but I cringed any time we passed other people, certain that I'd be recognized as a boy. I didn't consider this to be giving in to being a girl. It was just the only practical thing to do. Besides, maybe if Mom saw me in a girl's bathing suit, she'd have second thoughts. To be honest, though, I was feeling so hot that I would have agreed to a bikini just to get to the pool. We made it to the pool without anyone looking at me twice. That is, if you don't count several boys we passed who made a special point of checking out Barb and me. I was a little embarrassed to have other boys staring at me, but grateful that they thought I really was a girl. Once we got to the pool, Mom made me spread my towel out neatly and unpack my sunglasses and suntan lotion from my bead bag. Once I got everything unpacked, I had to rub lotion on my arms, legs, and chest, then sit still while Mom rubbed lotion on my back. Mom insisted that I wait a few minutes for the lotion to dry before swimming, which meant I had to listen to her comments on the bathing suits other girls were wearing and how nice I'd look in them. The lotion finally dried, and I quickly dived into the pool, grateful for the cool water. I dived under several times and swam from side to side before getting out for a break. As I sat on the edge of the pool, I noticed several boys kept coming past and diving in near to where I sat. When I jumped in for another dip, they splashed and carried on so much that I got out and went back to where Mom and Barb were tanning themselves. "What's wrong, Missy?" Barb asked curiously. "I thought you couldn't wait to get to the pool." "I couldn't," I replied. "It's just that those boys keep horsing around where I want to swim." Mom and Barb exchanged knowing looks and smiles. "Okay, I give up." "What's up? You really don't understand, do you?" Barb asked in amazement. "I understand that I feel silly sitting here in a girl's bathing suit, and I can't swim because of those stupid boys," I said icily. "What wonderful girl secret am I missing now?" "Calm down, Melissa," Mom said calmly. "She's only trying to help you. Spare me, please. The last time she helped me, I ended up with a girl's bedroom and a closet filled with dresses. That's what I'm trying to tell you, silly." Barb giggled. "Those boys obviously think you're cute. You've got to be kidding. Are they nuts or something?" "No, dear," Mom said. "That's the way young boys act around good-looking girls. I suggest you get used to it. You'll be seeing it a lot. Just my luck. Stuck in girls' clothes, and now I've got a couple of boys thinking I'm cute. Worse yet, Mom doesn't see anything wrong with it. I must be stuck in the Twilight Zone or something." "Come on, Missy," Barb said, taking my hand. "I'll take you away from those mean old boys." I pulled my hand back. This was the chance I'd been waiting for. "Never mind, sis. I'll be okay." I smiled, tossed my hair over my shoulder, and set off towards the boys, doing my best to walk just like I had been taught in camp. So Mom wanted a daughter, I'd give her a daughter to remember. I'd be back in boys' clothes before the afternoon was over. I casually walked over to where I had been sitting and jumped into the pool. It didn't take long before I finished a quick lap. The boys were back. They jumped across me to get into the pool, accidentally splashed me, and generally made a pain of themselves. As soon as one worked up enough guts to look up at me, I flashed him a smile and said hi. Before he could reply, a girl's voice from behind told him to get lost. I turned around to see a girl about my age glaring at the boys in the pool. She sat down and introduced herself as Jill, the sister of the boy I had smiled at. She said that if he was bothering me, she'd tell her mom and he'd get into a lot of trouble. I said that they weren't really being much trouble, that they were just being boys. "I guess you're right," said Jill. "I just wish they wouldn't act so strange all of the time. That's what makes them different from us," I said, thinking back several months to when I had been different. "I kinda like the difference, actually." We sat and talked for a few minutes before her brother Tim got up the courage to come out of the pool. He sat next to Jill but kept staring at me. I was a little uncomfortable at first. I mean, every time I looked his way, he was staring at me with a dopey look on his face. After a while, though, I found that all I had to do was smile at him and he would blush and look away. I knew Mom and Barb were watching, so I continued the little game with Tim. He'd stare at me until I smiled at him. Then he'd act like he was looking at something behind me. After maybe 10 minutes, he gave up and went back into the pool. I sort of hated to see him leave. It had been a fun game while it lasted, and in a way I enjoyed the attention. It's not that I wanted to have a boy interested in me or anything stupid like that. It was like they said in camp, better to be considered a girl than a sissy. Tim and his friends could have caused me all sorts of trouble if they thought I was a boy, so I did my best to be a girl for them, and it obviously worked. I was still too young for dating, and girls wanted nothing to do with Kevin, so it was a new experience to see the effect girls could have on a boy. I wondered what would have happened if I had sat near Tim, or something like that. What the heck? If I have to be a girl for a little while longer, I figured I'd check out this mysterious power girls have. I went back to where Mom and Barb were tanning themselves and sat down. Mom looked up at me and smiled. "It's nice to see you making friends with Missy." "Her name's Jill," I said absent-mindedly. "She seems pretty nice." "Who was the boy you kept flirting with?" asked Barb with a devilish grin. "Oh, that was Tim, Jill's brother," I replied, trying to be upset. "But I wasn't flirting with him." Mom laughed and gave me her "oh, let me tell you something" smile. "Maybe you didn't consider it flirting, but you certainly had that young man's undivided attention." "I don't know, Mom," Barb continued. "I think Missy here knew very well what she was doing to that boy." "Are you jealous, Barb?" I teased. "Maybe you're worried that I'm better looking than you." "Well, if you're all that confident about your looks, I've got a dare for you," Barb replied. "How about wearing one of my two-piece suits back here tomorrow? Of course, if you're not sure." "I'd love to, Barb," I exclaimed, trying my best to hide my fear, Hopefully, Mom would feel that we were getting a little too carried away and decide to call the whole thing off. Great! You can try on a couple as soon as we get home. I'm sure we can find an old one of mine that looks good on you. I have an even better idea, girls. Interrupted Mom. After dinner, we'll go to the mall and get Melissa some of her own. There's no reason she needs to borrow an old one when she could have some pretty new ones of her own. Great idea, Mom, I said, trying to keep her off balance. Do you think I could get a couple of string bikinis while we're there? Mom looked at me and smiled. Not for a couple of more years, sweetie. You're much too young for anything quite so sexy. This wasn't going quite as I had planned. Mom was all too happy with the idea of me flirting with boys and seemed more than willing to help me. I'd just play along until I saw the opening I needed. Of course, this afternoon was supposed to be that opening. At least I wouldn't be getting a string bikini. I went straight to my room when we got home and started to change for the mall, while Mom made dinner. I decided that since the shock of flirting didn't bother Mom, I'd go for a little subtle pressure. I plugged in my electric curlers, pulled on another pair of cachet panties, then a pair of teal blue regular panties with a matching half slip and bra. Sitting on the bed, I pulled on a pair of nude pantyhose, then slid a light blue cotton dress over my head. The dress was a simple one that Mom had bought for me the last time we went to the mall. It was sleeveless with what was called a dropped waistline that extended down to my hips, where the skirt started. After making sure my slip and the straps of my bra didn't show, I sat down and began to fix my hair. While I waited for my hair to set, I started to examine the things on my vanity. I had everything a girl my age could use. Lipstick, blush, liquid makeup, eyeshadow, you name, and I had it. It seemed a shame to let it go to waste, and I thought it might just help with my plan, so I did what several months ago I would never have dreamed of doing. I started putting on makeup. I remember my lessons from camp, and used just a little liquid makeup with some blush and lipstick. I finished with my makeup, took out my curlers, and brushed my hair into what I thought was a cute style. I stepped into a pair of blue flats and set off for dinner, wondering how my mother and sister would react to the way I looked. Mom's face lit up like a searchlight. When she saw how I looked, Barb just sat and stared, speechless. For once, "You look wonderful, Missy," Mom exclaimed. "She's right, Missy," Barb said slowly. "You really look great." "Thanks. I just sort of felt like getting a little done up." "Does it look okay for the mall?" "Certainly," Mom said. "That dress looks very nice on you and your hair is perfect." "I could do your hair if you want, Barb," I offered. "This is a bad dream, right? My little brother is offering to fix my hair? But Barb?" I said as sweetly as I could, "You don't have a little brother, remember? What's wrong with getting some help from another girl, even if I am your sister?" "Be nice to your sister Barb," Mom said. "She's only trying to help." Barb finally relented and promised to let me do her hair after dinner. I'm not sure why, but I was actually happy she agreed. I really wasn't trying to be smart. For the first time in my life, I wanted to do something nice for Barb. Dinner was great, even if it was only macaroni and cheese with hamburgers. Mom, Barb, and I talked about how much fun we had at the pool and how great it felt to cool off. They teased me a little about Tim, but I didn't mind. I never really talked with them much before, and the teasing was all in fun. After dinner, Barb and I went to her room, and after setting her hair, I picked out an outfit similar to mine to her to wear. She seemed a little reluctant to undress in front of me, but finally gave in and began to get changed. Do I have to wear a dress and stockings? What's wrong with a pair of shorts and a top? Oh, come on, Barb. You know, Mom will get a kick out of seeing us both dressed this way. If I can manage a dress and stockings, surely you can. Okay, I'll wear them already. But first tell me what you're up to. Why the dress, and what's with the hair? Nothing's up, Barb. Trust me, I just felt like looking nice tonight. I could see by her face that she didn't believe me. But I really was telling her the truth. I did really feel like dressing this way, and what's really weird is that I liked the way I looked. I intended to show Mom that I was going along and hoped she'd lighten up. But once I got dressed and did my hair, I thought I looked pretty good for a boy. Barb and I talked like two sisters as I did her hair. I found out that my sister really wasn't the monster I'd always thought her to be, but was actually a nice person once I got to know her. She told me all about the things she liked and didn't like, including school and boys. I had always thought she was a real brain and that she enjoyed school, but it turns out that she hated to study and the only thing she enjoyed in school were her friends. Now that we were in a new school, she wouldn't even have them. For the first time in my life, I felt truly sorry for my sister and wanted to help her, but I didn't know how while she waited for her hair to set. Barb started to change into the outfit I picked for her. I started to turn away, but she kept talking as if there was nothing wrong with undressing in front of me. I figured that this was just one more test I'd have to pass and managed to keep up my end of the conversation. When she finished dressing, I took out her curlers and brushed her hair to look like mine. After a quick look in the mirror, she turned and threw her arms around me. "You're really a dream come true, Missy. You've become the cute little sister I always wanted. We're going to have a great time together from now on. Couldn't I just be the sweet little brother you always wanted?" I asked hopefully. "I promise I'll be good."